Hey everybody, Graham here from therecordingrevolution.com with a final 5 minutes to a better mix tutorial. We've been looking at 31 mixing tips for the last 31 days straight. And if you've hung with me and watched all of these videos, then you've got a lot of ammo to go use in your mixes to actually make better music. You could read books all day, you could watch YouTube videos all day, but if you don't actually take that information and go try it in your mixes, then you're missing out. So hopefully you're going to take all these tips and these techniques and these philosophies and go make better music with them. Today's final tip is to consider mix versions. I'm not talking about revisions necessarily, because as you mix and you print out a version and you're going to go back and tweak until you finally settle on the mix the way it should be. But when you're at that point, a lot of times, and you think you're done, a good thing to do is to consider maybe a couple different versions of the mix. This could be as simple as, and this is a popular one, you do a print of the mix, or you bounce the mix, or render the mix, or whatever you want to call it, and that's the regular mix. And then you do another version where the vocals are up 1 or 2 dB, so it'd be the vocal up mix. And then you do one where the vocals are down 1 or 2 dB, and that'd be vocal down mix. The idea here is the mix might be perfect, but down the road you may think, you know what, I think the vocals are a little too hot. And of course, we have instant recall, and chances are high you can pretty much open up your DAW, find the session, and just render out a new version with the vocals up or down. But who knows? You may have updated your DAW, you may have archived a session on another hard drive, you may have use different plugins that now you no longer have the license for, or you lose an iLock or something that would prohibit you from recalling the exact same mix that you had just so you can render it with a different vocal volume overall. Don't let that happen to you. Render out a couple of mix versions. So I'll show you one real quick. I've got a mix here, and let's say it's ready to go, and I like the volume I'm at with the mix. And now I want to do a second version where I want all the vocals to be just a little bit louder. Well, I've got a bunch of harmonies and doubles, so what I'm going to do is these 6 tracks are vocal tracks. I'm going to create a new stereo aux or bus or something next to them called vocals. And I'm going to quickly, if I haven't already in the mixing process, route these 6 tracks instead of to my master fader, route them to an available bus, let's say bus 9 and 10, and make that 9 and 10 dump into this channel. So all I've done is simply routed all my vocals into this one fader, okay? And that gives me complete control of all the vocal levels without adjusting or screwing up their automation or their relative volume and pan levels to each other. So if this is where I'm at normally, then what I could do after I've printed the mix is I could take this volume fader and bring it up a dB or 2 dB, whatever you want. So I got a little bit more overall vocal level. I would then bounce to disk again, render to disk, record to disk, whatever you want to call it. I would print a version of the mix with those vocals up about 2 dB. Then I would come back, bring the fader back to 0, and do the opposite. I would bring it down. Now at least I have 3 versions of the mix with 3 different volume levels of the vocals. And then they're printed, they're going to sound identical in every other respect, and I know that they are correct because I'm doing it in the final mixing phase. I'm not doing it 6 months later or a year later when they're actually mastering or the project got delayed and they say, hey, can we get the vocals up? You don't want to mess with that. This could also apply to your drums. You could do a drums up mix if someone wants more of the drums. If there's any potential version of the mix you can think of, it takes an extra couple of minutes in your day to just render out identical mix versions and just label them accordingly and save them all in the folder where your session is or your final mixes are, and you've got versions right there in case you need them in the future. So consider mix versions when you're done, especially if it's a project you really care about and you've really worked hard on. You may never need them, but it's only a few minutes of your time. Well, guys, that's about it for 5 minutes to a better mix. I really appreciate you hanging out with us. If any of these videos have been helpful to you, either in this series or the first 5 minutes to a better mix, leave comments on YouTube or on the blog especially, and share the videos with anyone you think that they might help. Again, if you've never checked out the recordingrevolution.com, please do subscribe to the newsletter, get the ebook, get access to everything that's going on there week in and week out. And more importantly, just make sure you're making better music because you love it and you're all about the music. You're not about the gear, you're not about the techniques, you're just using the gear, using the techniques to do what's actually important, which is make great music. Thanks for tuning in. Take care. God bless.